Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Kevin's Commentary. This guy's got 2 national championships. He's got a ton of coaching experience, and we're proud to say he's the new head coach for the Wyoming Cowboy basketball program. Alan Edwards, that has a nice ring to it, doesn't that, head coach?
It does. I've gotten used to it here in the last month, so I'm excited about it.
Coach, I know that you've had a lot of time with the kids. You know them well anyway, but you had individual meetings with the student athletes. I was curious, is there a common theme as you talk to each kid about the program?
Yeah, one of the things I tried to hit on was actually a lot more about off the court than on the court early on, just about being a little bit more of a presence on campus and in the community, and about just carrying ourselves the right way. And then I led over into the basketball process of it, of how hard we need to work, how disciplined we're going to have to be, and how focused we're going to have to be for us to be able to put ourselves in position to reach goals.
You know, we haven't had the luxury of this very often, but continuity, it seems to me, is a big thing. And that was such a good part of this whole operation, is that you have been here and you know the kids and you know your family knows the community, all of those things that a new coach has to learn. Is it overrated or is it a big deal?
I think it's a big deal, to be honest with you. I was excited about the opportunity, obviously, but getting to know these guys over the last 5 years, I felt there was a comfort level there because of the relationships, that had been built with the staff and these guys. So when Coach Shai decided to step away, myself, Scott, and Jeremy was all excited about the opportunity of becoming the next head coach because of knowing the lay of the land here in the community, on campus, and just the guys that are in our locker room. And I thought they felt the same way, in a sense of, we know Coach Edwards, we know our guys on staff, going forward, where, some situations to where you bring in a new coach, guys, go back to the whole trust factor. I don't know that guy. He didn't recruit me. I want to leave. So, we didn't have any of those issues when I sat down and talked to the parents over the phone and the guys one-on-one.
I guess sometimes it happens early, sometimes it happens later, but not everybody gets an opportunity to be a head coach. But I would imagine as an assistant coach, and maybe all those assistants in the world of sports, is there a time when you feel like, I think I'm ready? And I guess maybe you're never totally ready, I don't know, but you felt you were ready, Alan, and maybe felt that for a couple of years?
I've felt that I have felt this way for a while now, to be honest with you, and I really date back to my situation at VCU. We had some success there, and Coach Grant ended up moving on and taking the Alabama job, and I was one of the guys that didn't go with him. Was a little hurt there for a second, but at the same time, I felt like my confidence grew, and I knew that at that point, I felt like, you know what, I can and I am, ready to do this. And then I just started to carry myself in that manner, going through the situation at Towson and going through the situation at Western Kentucky helped me. But the last 5 years have been very, very good in a sense of working under Coach Shai, because he had given us that leeway of saying, don't treat this like this is his program. Treat this like this is your program, and carry yourself in that manner and put yourself in that mindset of running a program. So I thought the last 5 years have been tremendous in helping me get to this point.
Let's get to basketball. You've now had a chance to put together your staff, and that's always a very important part of this, maybe one of the most important parts. Talk a little bit about your staff.
Well, I'm excited about the group. Obviously, that part has been new as well, because now you got to hire people. You're always used to getting hired. But was excited about the guys that I brought in. Scott Duncan and I had a sit down and decided to go our separate ways. So I ended up having to fill 2 spots, the spot that, replaced myself, and then to replace Scott. And the guys that I went with, a dear friend of mine, Tony Pujol, who worked with me at VCU, and we kind of learned a lot from each other, and we've always stayed in contact, throughout this process. And I felt like he's a guy that when you say if you're in the foxhole, you need guys that you can trust, he's definitely, that guy for me. And then Jermaine Kimbrough, who I brought on as well, was just at the University of Nevada last year in conference, but spent majority of his career in Cleveland, at Cleveland State, and he's from Cleveland, Ohio. And what I was looking for in that spot, to be quite frankly, was somebody that brought to the table what I brought to the table, a well-balanced guy. I didn't want to specifically say I need a recruiter or I need a coach or I need an administrator or whatever. I wanted a guy that was good in every aspect of the business and then had aspirations of being a head coach. And I think Jermaine brings that to the table.
And of course, you've got some holdovers too.
Yes, obviously, Jeremy Shyatt still stayed on staff. Excited. My relationship with Jeremy goes way back to our time at VCU. So we've gotten to know each other since then, and then our 5 years here on staff, and he's been tremendous, even with the transition of me being promoted and just going through the process of keeping that continuity on staff and then adding these two guys.
I think this question kind of goes hand in hand maybe, but style of play will change a little bit, and your thoughts on the roster and the guys that are going to do that style of play.
Well, yes, it's going to change a little bit, but I think the core structure will stay the same. Myself and Coach Shyatt still, come from that same family tree where we will hang our hat on the defensive end of the floor, but at the same time, I want to be just a tad bit more assertive or aggressive, taking calculated risk on defense to force steals or create tempo so we can get out and just play a little bit more, and even in the sense on offense, probably a little bit more aggressive attacking and taking the open shot when they present themselves. And with what we have coming back, the one thing I think we do well is shoot the basketball. The other thing, I think we're long, and I think we're skilled. We're not beefy, but again, with the way we want to play going forward, I think what our guys do or their strengths lead to or is an attribute to what we're trying to do going forward from a style of play standpoint.
How about recruiting philosophy and where you're going to be looking for players, what kind of guy you're going to be looking for?
Well, I always come back to this in recruiting. Recruiting is about relationships, and you build them, throughout the country. Myself, Jeremy, Tony, and Jermaine have been a few places throughout our careers, and through the process, we've built relationships throughout the country. And I think Wyoming is a situation to where we can recruit nationally versus saying that we have to recruit in specific areas because, again, of relationships. And going forward, obviously the type of kids that we want to bring in, I'm big on character. I really want guys, they're not perfect, but I want guys to be stand-up guys, within the program, and don't want anything to go against what we're trying to build from a culture standpoint. And then I want to get athletic. I want to get long. And one of the things I always say, we got to be able to shoot the basketball. It's hard to play guys that can't make an open jump shot. So those things will be heavily considered when we're pursuing student athletes.
We talk about jump shots and three-point shots and all that stuff. You've been around a while now in the game. How much has it changed since you played at Kentucky and won national championships?
It's changed a lot. And we was just talking about this before we got on camera. The way the game is going now with, everybody talks about space, and then that four-man is a lot more mobile in the ability to shoot the three ball, which again adds to that spacing. And even from a standpoint to five-man, that traditional big back to the basket, throw it inside guy that can go get you 20, 30 points. I don't know if that guy exists anymore, or I always say this, there's no more patience to work on those type of guys. So the game has expanded in the sense of the three-point shot is looked at a lot more than it was in previous years, or it's been around now to where we're saying let's get up a lot because 3 is worth more than 2. And if we make more of those, then we're going to give ourselves a chance to win. So again, it kind of goes back to what I feel like we have in house, the ability to shoot the basketball from multiple spots. But I do believe we have a good intermix of talent when you think about JB and Jordan being more traditional bigs, but lanky, and JB are just a little bit more beefy.
It's nice to have just one school in the state, isn't it? And I know that support is very big to you.
It truly is, and that's a tremendous selling point when we're talking to our student athletes, because I'm originally from Florida, or you can just do this about any state in the country, and I always use Florida as an example when you talk about the University of Florida, University of Miami, Florida State, Central Florida, FIU, FAU, Stetson, Florida Gulf Coast, Jacksonville, North Florida. I can keep going on and on about the programs that are in one state, and our thing is it's just us, man. And our state loves to support not only Wyoming basketball but Wyoming athletics in general. And when you can say the whole state is keyed in on the success of your athletic program, that speaks volumes when you're speaking to parents and potential student athletes.
Wyoming is very happy to have you, Alan Edwards. We wish you the very best, and all of us are looking very forward to it.
I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Head basketball coach Alan Edwards, thanks for being with us. Until next time.